to Kevin Stanky. How are you, sir?
Thank you. I'm doing great. Thanks for considering me a friend. And I'm glad to move beyond the roommate status with you and into the friend zone.
In the
Feels good.
acquaintance zone. Is that better? I don't know. Well, I'm excited for the season, and I know you are as well. Just to get started right into it, I think we can both agree the most exciting thing after seeing the Timberwolves not make the playoffs, no basketball in Minnesota for almost a year since March. How excited are you for the season, and what is the number one thing that's on your mind to begin the year?
Yeah, I'm very excited for the season. I mean, the bubble basketball was good. It was fine. It didn't satiate my Timberwolves lust, and and it really, it was really difficult for me to cheer for the Los Angeles Lakers in the finals. But as a Timberwolves fan, it's very difficult to be a Jimmy Butler fan,
Mm-hmm.
and um, and that was that was one of the reasons why I'm very excited to have the Timberwolves back because I like cheering for my guys and I like seeing them be successful. So hopefully this is a successful season for them. And I think the obviously the biggest piece of the puzzle for the Timberwolves this upcoming season is Karl Anthony Towns. He's going to be the X factor for the team this year, no doubt. He's the best shooting big man in NBA history. But looking at last year, he was pretty up and down, and he really needs to go back to that player he was 2 years ago when we kind of thought he might be the next Shaq or something like that, you know?
I'm excited because I think he's kind of has that whole pat on the back, if you will, because they didn't draft Wiseman. So we know he has to be a stud player, right? He knows he doesn't have to look over his shoulder. He knows that he's the guy to handle everything down low. So I'm excited to watch him as well, man. Sorry to jump in there.
No, that's quite all right. I mean, they didn't even get a power forward to go along with him. They have
No,
no threats in the big man rotation to Karl Anthony Towns, and maybe that's the way he wants it, and that's why we didn't get a power forward this year. But I think he, looking back to where he was 2 years ago, it was always like, well, can we start? Can we say that Nikola Jokic could could compete with him? It almost seemed like a joke 2 years ago. A Jokic.
that was definitely
That
a yoker.
and the fact that now Jokic is making all NBA teams, and really, the Nuggets geographically are probably our biggest rivals, playing in that play-in game a couple of years ago too, to get to the playoffs. The Nuggets, kind of always jockeying the bottom of the lottery with us. Jamal Murray, there was he came in just a couple picks after, well, it was the year we got Chris Dunn.
Yeah.
Um,
Who'd you rather
but
have?
well, it's easy to look back on it now. At the team then, kind of seemed like a guy like Chris Dunn could just hop in and play the game, but yeah, Jamal Murray at that time was kind of redundant to what Zach LaVine was at the time. So I thought, why take another Zach LaVine? But then we traded him. So,
Yeah.
uh, so yeah, Jamal Murray to me, I mean, right now he's looking to me like one of the baddest guys out there. Bad like Michael Jackson, bad like with two D's, like color me bad.
He kind of has turned into or what we both kind of hope DeAngelo Russell is, not what he turns into, because he has shown those knockdown shots and big shot making playmaking ability, right? But I would say Jamal Murray is kind of the weller known point guard, shooting guard, as well as
Yeah.
Jokic over Cat. So I hear what you're saying, that Denver players right now, when you wouldn't have at draft time thought they'd be better than the players we have now, right?
Yeah, but going back to Cat, I mean, last year he did have that injured wrist, and it's valid. If you're injured, you can't be expected to perform at 100%. And I think that they held him out of a lot of games that he could have played last year, in order to, at that point of the season they were already in the dirt. They were buried down deep, and so I'm glad that they didn't risk his health further in order to get some short-term gains. Which what were the gains even? They would have fallen back further in the lottery. They got some good reps with their new players to see who fits within the system.
Yep.
But with Cat, he's the X factor. And the reason that he's such an X factor, of course, his mother passed away and other family members. And I don't know if you saw that clip of him on the first the preseason game. They were announcing all the players, and he didn't stand up. The team came around him and rallied around him. And for a lot of players, they look at competition as a kind of release to get away from the grief that they might have. And for him, his mom was right there at every game. We saw him when he got in that fight with Embiid. She was ready to come down the stands and tear out his eyeballs.
Oh yeah. And she was a big part of his life. He always spoke about her, right? He always recognized his mother in his life and how important she was. And I agree. My condolences go to him and his family for their loss. I think I had heard that it was 7 family members that had been lost to COVID, and that definitely kind of puts a heavier burden, and maybe to show his performance can live up to the people that influenced him in his life, right? So yeah, I can see that being a motivator for him for sure this year.
Yeah, and that's what it's got to be, because if it ends up being a detriment for him, then this season's lost, and possibly he's on the trading block. And after a down season for him, what is the return? It seems like another 10 years of downtrodden time for our favorite franchise. So
we can see how quickly it turns, right? I mean, it could be it's a make or break year because of what you said. If it doesn't work out and it's a lost year, he could easily request a trade, and the Wolves would be in the situation Houston's in, or the Pelicans were in with Anthony Davis, right? I mean, you don't want to be in that situation. The Timberwolves have made it known to him that they will surround him with players he likes and talent. So yeah, it is a definite make or break year for him to kind of show us that he's a great player. I think we already know that. And he can be even greater and fulfill those MVP shoes that we all think he has, right?
Yeah, and they brought in his friend DAngelo.
Yeah.
And it seems like his presence allowing Cat to not have to be the leader that we've kind of required him to be up to this point, and that he hasn't quite filled those shoes. DeAngelo seems like the first Minnesota Timberwolf in the franchise's history who seems genuinely excited to be here. And it might just be the way, what the cue cards say for him. But he says it with conviction. And I think that he's the guy who, he might not be the best player on the team, but he's the guy that the team will look to be a leader. And, I've seen it read before that they got to drop the D from his name because of the lack of he plays. But I don't mind him being DeAngelo as long as he can fulfill that leadership role. And the question is how is he going to mesh with the old/new point guard they've added to the roster, Ricky Rubio?
Mm-hmm. I agree. To kind of piggyback on what you're saying, he seems like he wants to be here. He's definitely, good friends with Cat and likes to play with them. Unfortunately, they only got to play one game together last year, right? And this is the beginning of what we hope is a many-year-long similar roster, a roster that always gets turned over. And this is the core of it, right? So he should be offensive. We know what he can do. I am with you. I'd like to see him play more defense, but I think that's what you brought Ricky Rubio in to do, right? And Beasley, for that matter. So he is a star. He's been on star teams, right? With the Golden State, he got to see Curry play. It's been on.
You got to watch him play, yeah, pretty much. You didn't get to play much with him either.
No. But it is. He's been around the block. He knows how to lead a team, or at least have seen people lead their teams respectively. So it's his turn, and I think he does embrace that. And it will be exciting to see if his defensive game picks up, or if that goes right into the Rubio talk. You remember this guy, right, Ricky? This little guy.
Yeah. He's beefed up a little bit, though.
He has beefed up. He no longer looks like the skinny guy from Spain. He's got a beard. That's from Utah, but he is he's a defensive point guard, and he makes good passes. He makes the smart plays. So maybe he picks up the defensive end for DeAngelo. It'll be interesting to see what Coach Saunders, how his lineups mix those two together, or if he keeps them apart. I know there's been lots of talk of Rubio starting with DeAngelo and being that starting point guard, and DeAngelo as the 2, or if Rubio comes off the bench. To me, I don't think you could. I don't think it's a really problem either way, right? So, what are your thoughts on Rubio, I guess?
Oh, well, I'm excited for him as a player on the team. I was a fan of Ricky Rubio. Love to see him play. He's been always one of those guys that's, in my mind, he's maybe a little bit better than he actually is. But he's picked up his shooting in the last couple of years since he's left the team, and he makes those open shots that he used to be left open on when he played for the Timberwolves. So, I'm excited to see what happens with Ricky Rubio. I think it's going to be, it's really his leadership roles that's going to help the team develop his defense, his passing, and of course, having that similar story to Kat, having a passed away mother recently, and Flip's son,
yeah.
Ryan Saunders, kind of in a similar position. So the stars are aligned for the star player, and hopefully his compliments will help him shine.
I think so. I mean, look at what he did with the Suns in the playoffs last year in the bubble, right? Not last year, but in the bubble during it, they were undefeated, right? I mean, he was part of that, and he kind of took that leadership role. I think we know he's good friends with Kat, and I'm sure DeAngelo then is on board. So I'm excited to see him as part of the team and kind of come back to a place where we never wanted him traded, right? That was that was not the fans' choice of people to get rid of, but it happened, and everybody was sad to see him go. So it is exciting to have him back. It's exciting to now know that he can shoot the 3 a little bit better, and see those flashy passes that he's known for, which is great. So yeah, I'm excited for Rubio.
And those big, beautiful eyelashes.
Those big, beautiful... And he's got the ponytail with the full beard and this wicked tattoo. Can't wait to see that in person. So, yeah, it should be pretty neat. With that said, we kind of hit on quite a few people. The one thing we should not forget is the number 1 overall pick. The Wolves had him. Anthony Edwards was the choice. How excited were you? Do you think they made the right pick?
He's definitely the guy that I was hoping that they were going to get. I mean, ideally, they would have traded the pick before they picked up Edwards, got some big name, flashy player.
Devin Booker.
Devin Booker, Ben Simmons, what have you. A lot of it seemed unreasonable, mostly out of just the CBA, the way that contracts are structured. That's the big hurdle for them to get that 3rd star, I think, more so than them wanting Booker or Simmons. But yeah, if they stayed on one, I was hoping they would get Anthony Edwards. They got him. And since he's been here, I think that he's shown a lot. I watched a few preseason highlights, and just the way that he catches the ball and shoots and seems to shoot from almost anywhere on the court, not afraid to take the three as well. And being the threat to slash and get in the paint and slam it home. Made some nice cross-court passes I saw as well too. So he's really filling out the profile, and he seems to be growing still as well. And maybe somebody who gets a dietitian on the roster can really help him mold his physique to be the position that they need him to be. Right now, I probably put him as a small forward, even though he's drafted as a shooting guard, just because of what the roster looks like right now. But he could grow more, and he could work with that dietitian to really be okay. So the team needs a power forward. I'll beef up. The team needs a small forward. I mean, he's already lightning quick. He's got the speeds. Yeah. He's got the sneaks. But I don't know. I think Ant is a bad nickname. What do you think?
I mean, he likes it, right? The Ant-Man. he seems to like it, and I hope that's because he can play in a small ball lineup, but he also is getting bigger like Ant-Man did in Civil War, right? So, I mean, I think he's definitely growing. He'll play a lot of 2 and 3 this year, and I could see him being a good small forward in the future as he continues to grow and get bigger and stronger. He is an athletic player, I'll give him that. And he makes that athletic play, which the T-Wolves haven't had that kind of athleticism at the 2 or 3 guard since Corey Brewer, to throw that out there. And so, I mean, he reminds me a lot of Dwayne Wade, if you will. Maybe not shooting-wise, but athleticism and just body type. So I could see him being a great player. And I totally agree that the Wolves made the right pick at number 1. I did not want LaMelo Ball, and I thought James Wiseman wasn't needed. He was the player. And yes, I would have loved for them to trade the first pick for Devin Booker, but not for Ben Simmons. I wasn't.
Yeah, LaMelo, I'm not a fan. I don't think his personality would have fit in Minnesota, and I don't think he would have been happy here, and I think he would have forced his way out pretty quick. And what I like about Edwards' profile is kind of like DeAngelo. He says he wants to be here. His goal is to be the number 1 pick. He wasn't one of these guys who's like, don't pick me. Don't pick me. I don't want to play on your team. That's something that Wiseman was definitely putting out there. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I liked Wiseman too. I think they could have made it work with him, but I think this is the best case scenario for our team, and hopefully for Anthony Edwards too. And I think he'll really pick up his game. But I'm excited to see more from him.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited to watch him play. Only having 3 preseason games to kind of get pumped up for the season. It wasn't enough. I wanted more before it actually counts and matters.
Well, it's kind of funny the way the NBA is going. It's almost like the regular season is the preseason, and the postseason's the regular season, and the finals is what it all relies on. That's what it's all about.
Finals are the LeBron show for the last 10 years. So, yeah, I'm excited about him, man. I think they made the right choice. I'm glad we agree on that. Kind of before we kind of wrap up things, I do want to ask you about any other players. We kind of hit on 4 of them there. Do you have a favorite player other than Kat and DeAngelo that you kind of keep your eye on this year?
Well, I think another big X factor for the team is going to be Malik Beasley. Such a huge fan of him before all his legal troubles. And it's still a fan, but it gets a little bit harder when you see somebody getting in trouble like he got into, and I can't even really elaborate on what happened, but it didn't seem good.
No.
But his play on the court, you always see him. You see him every day working, and hopefully he spends more time in the gym just working on his basketball abilities, because he's a true player, and he's got the offense. He's got some defensive skills as well, and I think that we're gonna be happy to see him this next season.
I agree. I think the Wolves definitely need his shooting, and that's why they gave him the contract extension. And he needs to get himself figured out off the court. Obviously, I don't know the details of that either, so I've heard things, but I don't need to repeat rumors until it's official. And you go, and everybody you can make your decision on that. But I do like his shooting, and I think he makes a good fit on the roster. I'm glad that they re-signed him, because who else were you going to get to come off the bench as a sixth man or be, the scoring punch that you need? It was Malik.
Mm-hmm. Well, now they got a logjam, a shooting guard. They got these 2-point guards. They want one of them to be a shooting guard. Now you got Malik, you got Anthony Edwards, you got Okogie, and last year's number 1 pick, Culver, and ideally a lot of those guys would be playing at the 2, and now you're kind of making some kind of weird rosters, but I think they're going to make it work. They'll be undersized at the 4 and probably the 3 as well, but that's what you got the big cat for.
Yep. He plays 38, 40 minutes a game, right? I mean, I like the Culver and Josh Okogie bit, that they are a similar player. They both play really good defense, right? Okogie has been awesome. And so is Culver, who was great on defense. He was a defensive player in college, and he brings a hard work ethic. I'm excited to watch him play and kind of improve his offensive game or grow. I think the one thing he lacked last year was confidence, and they kept throwing him out there, right? I mean, they had him playing point guard last year. The 3, he got opportunities, and he kept shooting, which I liked about it. I think he just needs to get that consistency and confidence to be consistent this year. So
he's got to make some free throws too. He's been very disappointing at the free throw line. He can get up. He can get to the rim. You saw that dunk against Robin Lopez against the Bucks last year.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't seem to lack confidence to me. He just seems to just need to have that. He needs to get a streak going, and once that happens, he'll get all the confidence he needs.
I will throw in a player that I am kind of excited to watch this year, but probably won't get much time, is my buddy Naz Reid. I think he's good, dude. In LSU, he was good. He's that big man center that can take time away from Cat, and he's that big body that I think he keeps developing. He's fun to watch.
Yeah, when Cat leaves the floor too, they don't have to switch their play style too much. He's Cat light. He won't ever be as good as Cat. We shouldn't expect that from him. But he's somebody who the team doesn't have to change their game plan around when he comes off the bench and in for Cat. And he's shown a lot in limited minutes. And I think that the best thing to do is not expect too much from him. But as long as he's got that swagger that he's got right now, I think he'll continue to be a fan favorite.
Yeah, I agree. I think that he'll be a fun bench player to watch throughout the year. Hopefully he keeps improving. Well, all right, Kevin. That's kind of everything. Before we go, what are your expectations, I suppose, for the game?
Yeah, it should be an interesting matchup. I think the Pistons are going to be at the bottom of the East, probably one of the lowest teams probably in the entire league this coming year. But they do have a player at the power forward position, which is where the Timberwolves lack their prowess. With Blake Griffin, who, say what you will, he's still a high caliber player in the NBA. If he could only stay on the court, he's going to be on the court tonight. So as much as I'd like to say it's going to be a Timberwolves blowout, the fact that they have Blake Griffin, who, like the rest of the Timberwolves players, is fresh. Mm-hmm. He's gotten some time to get over his ailments, and he's ready to dunk over some Kia Sorrentos.
Yeah, the Detroit Pistons have had just as much rest as the Timberwolves have, and I think both teams are ready to get out there, right, and start fresh.
And I wouldn't expect too. Sorry, go ahead.
I agree that the Timberwolves should come away with a win tonight. I want to say they win by like 15 points and blow them out because I think Detroit's that bad, but who knows? It's the first game of the year. I bet it's pretty close. Ends in the 90s. T-Wolves, hopefully they shoot the three a lot like they did last year.
Just looking at this Pistons roster, I feel like, well, you think that Derrick Rose maybe could be the guy that was the second guy for him, but he's 32 years old. Mm-hmm. We thought he was washed up before he appeared in a Timberwolves jersey, and he's made a little bit of a resurgence, but I wouldn't place too much on the rest of the Pistons roster tonight unless some of their rookies step up. And it's going to be a close match. And if Killian Hayes or Sadiq Bey come out swinging, then it would be a loss. But I would put it in the T-Wolves' favor tonight. And it's going to be a close one against a bad team. But if they don't make it close, if they put it away before crunch time, then I can say that we'll have a lot of confidence in this team this year.
Yeah, I have confidence in the team. I know you do. I hope everybody watching does. Thanks, Kevin. Thanks for this little chat about the T-Wolves. And, we'll try and do it again next week or after the game tonight. Why not?
Sounds good. Thanks, Gary.
Yeah, buddy.